Welcome back. Today I'll be assembling frame 3, and right off the bat I found that the holes in my frame components did not line up with the holes on the frame construction board, so I'll explain how I worked around that. To start, I find it useful to look at the 3D models of the frames from the forward and aft sides. After assembling frames 1 and 2, I thought I was the greatest boat builder in the world. But I quickly discovered that the holes in frame 3 did not align with the holes in the frame construction board. At this point, I'm not even sure I'm in the top 3. Across this 6-foot, 8-inch wide frame, I'm only off by a few millimeters. But due to the tight tolerances of the design, I can't use the dowels to align the frame to the frame construction board. I know of several other boat builders who have assembled these frames without running into these issues. And since I outsourced the CNC cutting of the frame construction board and used a shaper origin to cut the frame components, it's not too surprising that I have these discrepancies. Thankfully, it's an easy fix, but I just can't pass up this opportunity in the video editing. What's most important is a tight fit and alignment of the frames. Therefore, after clamping the frame, I measure to ensure each side has equidistance from the water line and that the frame is centered on the center line of the frame construction board. I mark the center line of the frame now so that I can accurately reposition the frame on the frame construction board when it's time to attach the strong back legs. For the pins that did align to the frame construction board, I push them through the frame so I can dry fit the gussets. The gussets should align to the inside of the chine fillers. And for those of you who commented on my screwdriver, you were right. For the shear gussets, I first attach them to the side beams with a screw, and then place a clamp on the shear gusset and the deck beam to ensure a tight fit. And then dry fit the shear gusset to the deck beam again with screws. With the frame properly aligned, we remove all the gussets and replace the zinc screws with bronze. From this point, the frame assembly is very similar to frames 1 and 2. Wet each of the mating surfaces with neat epoxy, and then apply the thickened epoxy. And permanently attach the gussets with bronze screws. I wiped up the excess epoxy and flipped the frame over. Where there were gaps, I pressed thickened epoxy into the seam with a spatula. As with the forward side, I dry fit the shear gussets to the aft side of the frame. And then permanently attach the gussets with thickened epoxy and bronze screws. After the epoxy cured overnight, I drilled the alignment holes back through the keel gusset. I turned the frame around and aligned it onto the frame construction board. I then attached the bulkhead to the frame with screws. It's important that the bulkhead is dry fit only, as it needs to be removed to place it onto the strongback. I insert the dowels into the SLB alignment holes. SLB stands for strongback leg. From my measurements, I know that I want each strongback leg to be 52 inches long. Therefore, I cut the 8-foot long MDF board at an angle so I can get two 52-inch long edges. I add a spacer that is the same thickness as the bulkhead, and attach the strongback legs with 1.5-inch long screws. To position each of the strongback legs at the same vertical height, I measure the distance from the strongback line to the edge of the board. I mark the center line at an earlier stage in this process, but I check anyway to make sure that it's still in alignment. And finally, I mark the water line on each of the strongback legs. With many of the frames, there are straight components which are not cut out with CNC. These parts must be cut and sanded by hand to fit. And the final step is to attach the floor batten to the frame construction board. I'm just putting this here with two-sided tape. I'll permanently adhere it with epoxy and screws at a later stage. Till next time.